Hello and welcome back to the Hazzabhajan YouTube channel. It is Harry here, and today it is time to continue on with the Nation Roulette series, which of course is the series in which I look at football in loads of countries, or preferably as many of them as possible, scatter the globe that we live on. And today it is the turn of the landlocked Asian nation of Kyrgyzstan. If you're new around here, I have made a playlist dedicated to every single one of the episodes that I have made in this series thus far, which you can check out in the description if you want to give any of them a watch. And of course, if you're new around here, why not hit the subscribe button and the like button, because it is completely free of charge. Unless you're paying YouTube Premium, but even then, it doesn't cost anything to hit the like button and the subscribe button, so what are you doing by not pressing it? Honestly, just do it anyway. But for now, let's look at the footballing scene in the Asian nation of Kyrgyzstan. Kyrgyzstan is the second country from that continent that we have covered in this series thus far, following on from Mongolia a couple of months back, although the two countries are separated by a huge dollop of northwest China. China is one of four countries that Kyrgyzstan borders, alongside Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan and Uzbekistan, and apparently it would take 1,333 hours to get there on foot from Manchester, where I currently live, or in other words, just under 60 days of non-stop walking. Whether or not you need to know that is another question, but if you want to brag to your friends about knowing something obscure, then you have your bragging tool right there. The people who lived in the region were originally seen as nothing more than forest dwellers or mountain nomads, but the place was captured in 1830 by a man named Muhammad Ali, whose Khanate built what would later go on to become the capital city of the country, by the name of Bishkek. Slowly but surely though, it was taken over by Russian colonists, which the people didn't take kindly to owing to being displaced by the incoming Russian peasants, and in 1916 they started a revolution, but all it resulted in was blood and repression at the hands of the Tsarist and then the communist regimes. However, unlike many of the countries which formed a part of the USSR, Kyrgyzstan actually became recognised as an autonomous republic quite early on, with a full republic being created in 1936, although it was still very much under Soviet control, something which was only relinquished completely upon the collapse of the USSR in 1991. It was at this point, as has been so often the case with nations which I have covered in this series thus far who are at one point either under colonial rule or part of a general collection of states under one name, that moves were made to establish an independent FA within the country, and merely a year after independence was granted, Kyrgyzstan had one. By 1994, it had become members of both FIFA and the AFC, although it is worth noting that the FA was originally called the Football Federation of the Kyrgyz Republic, but that particular entity no longer exists, as it was given a complete rebrand in 2019 and renamed as the Kyrgyz Football Union. Football is the most popular sport within the country, holding off challenges from wrestling, boxing and ice hockey, the latter of which is growing in popularity after the success of the men's national team at the 2011 Asian Winter Games. Whilst the Kyrgyzstan national football team haven't experienced similar levels of success just yet, more on that in a minute, great strides are being taken to improve the level of the sport within the country, thanks in no small part to the FIFA Forward and UEFA assistance programs. This has helped the Kyrgyz Football Union, who were voted as the Aspiring Federation of the Year at the AFC Annual Awards in 2014, significantly, and a lot of progress has been made when it comes to both grassroots and international football. The income generated from the FIFA Forward program has been put towards infrastructural development, including transport for the country's major teams, with $120,000 being provided in the form of minibuses. UEFA Assist, which is only available to nations outside of UEFA's primary sphere of influence, i.e. Europe, has been mostly reinvested in youth football development, stadia and technical necessities, as office equipment valued at around $10,000 in all has been provided, as well as a Hyundai H1 minivan. It ain't much, but it's honest work. That being said, there is still a long way to go at the moment, as the national team's matches weren't even broadcast live on TV at all until 2015, and the cost of floodlights is still too extortionate for them, so matches have to be played on weekdays at no later than 4 PM in order to avoid playing in the dark. In fact, also in 2015, the then president of the FA, Semete Sultanov, said that it does not receive any money at all from Kyrgyzstan's national budget, with most of the income coming into football needing to be provided by FIFA. And in 2020, journalist Adilet Temirlanov revealed that football is barely publicised, and no club side even makes a smidgen of a profit. With multiple players also defecting to play for Kazakhstan instead of the nation of their birth, it is clear that it may be a little while yet before we see Kyrgyzstan as a true footballing superpower. The first ever football match recorded in the country was played just over 100 years ago, as on the 21st of March 1921, 3 months before Prince Philip was born, a game between locals and a team sent over from what is now known as Almaty in Kazakhstan ended up in a 3-1 victory for the visitors. A League of Sorts was formed in 1934, and it was absolutely dominated by teams from the capital city, which was then known as Frunze after a former Bolshevik army leader and close associate of Vladimir Lenin, Mikhail Frunze, with all but 7 of its 51 seasons seeing the trophy head to Frunze. A real fervour for the sport though only started to arrive during World War II, when Russian and Ukrainian factory workers, who were also football fanatics, made their way into the country and brought with them their love of football, which then spread amongst the populace. It didn't translate into success on an international stage for any Kyrgyz team, as the country was just one of 2 former Soviet republics, alongside Turkmenistan, to never have one of its teams represented in the Soviet top league. The closest they ever got was through FC Zenit Frunze, now known as FC Alga Bishkek, who reached as high as 3rd in the Soviet First League, their second tier, in 1967, missing out on promotion by just 1 point, before being relegated in 1979 and never returning to those dizzying heights prior to the USSR's breakup. At that point, in 1991, they had 2 teams competing in the Soviet Union's Football League pyramid, namely Alga Frunze and Ale Osh, although both were in the 3rd tier. The national team played its first ever game in August 1992 against neighbours Uzbekistan, although they would lose 3-0, marking the start of a calamitous run of results against countries with whom they share a border, taking until 2016 to finally beat one of them in the form of Kazakhstan. From 1992 until 2012, they only won 18 out of the 72 games that they played in all competitions, but ever since the year that everyone thought the world was going to end, and with the help of a few naturalised players from Germany and Ghana, they have taken quite a few steps forward. Admittedly, they are still yet to qualify for a World Cup, but they're doing okay in the current set of qualifiers, sitting in 3rd in their qualification group, 3 points behind 2nd place Tajikistan, but with a game in hand on them and a superior goal difference, with the 5 best performing 2nd place teams progressing into the 3rd round with a shot at making the World Cup. Although just last night at the time of this recording, they lost at home to last place Mongolia, who, you may recall, lost 14-0 to Japan in the exact same set of qualifiers, and of course, the same group. This is following on from their first appearance at the Asian Cup in 2019, when they made it to the knockout stages as one of the 4 best performing 3rd place sides before being eliminated at the hands of the hosts of the United Arab Emirates after extra time. Besides that, the only things that they have to show for their efforts are bronze medals from the 2006 AFC Challenge Cup, a competition for those who have been recognised as emerging countries by the AFC, and from the 2006 ELF Cup, which is a one-off tournament for teams not recognised by FIFA, although since Kyrgyzstan were by that point FIFA members, they sent over their futsal team to compete in the finals instead. Their biggest win and defeats were both games which finished 7-0, as they lost to Iran in 1997 and beat Myanmar in 2019 by that score. They are currently placed just inside the top 100 of FIFA's world rankings, sitting in 99th, but they have reached as high as 75th back in May 2018 and plummeted as far down as 201st in March 2013, only 8 places above last. Vadim Karchenko is their record appearance maker with 51, and Anton Zemlyanukin, despite scoring just 13 goals for his country, has hit more than any other in the national team's admittedly quite short history. The Kyrgyz Premier League, the replacement of the Soviet-era league, was set up in 1992, with Alga Bishkek once again leading the way with 5 titles up until 2003. However, a club that was only founded in 1997 by the name of FC Dordai Bishkek has come in and virtually monopolised the league ever since 2004, as they've won it 12 times in the previous 17 seasons and only finished outside of the top 2 once, namely in the 2017 season, in which they came 3rd. They are the current holders too, after they won the 2020 season, which kicked off almost as soon as the COVID-19 epidemic was declared a pandemic, leading the authorities to delay the league completely until August, although at the moment they are in 2nd place in the 2021 season, 5 points behind Alga, albeit with a game in hand. Another interesting fact about Dordoy is that, for the current set of 2022 World Cup qualifiers, their players form exactly half of Kyrgyzstan's national team squad, with 11 of their 23 players currently playing for Dordoy. The league is only comprised of 8 teams at the moment, having contained as many as 18 and as few as 6 during its 29-year lifespan, but after many number changes, they have stuck with an 8-team league for the past 4 seasons, in which each team plays each other 4 times, barring in 2020 when they played each other twice, owing to the season's postponement. Owing to their current AFC coefficient ranking of 33rd, they aren't even able to see their club sides compete in the AFC Champions League, with the winners of the league and the cup only qualifying for the AFC Cup, the equivalent of the Europa League in Asia, although at least they qualify for the group stages automatically, which is a sliver of a silver lining, I guess. That just about wraps up today's video looking at the current state of football and indeed the history of football more generally in Kyrgyzstan. And if you did enjoy this video, as I said at the start, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you have not done so already, and check out all the other episodes that I have done of Nation Roulette. The playlist link is at the top line of the description behind the actual description of the video itself. But thank you very much for watching, and until next time, I'll see you then.